And we're going to start with some news updates. First and foremost, it is an update to a story we were talking about last week. We brought you information about the snap tapping, right? The mouse and keyboard new function where you get immediate inputs and immediate input reactions from your keyboard. Well, doesn't seem like Valve likes it too much. And they're banning it from Counter-Strike 2, both Wooting and Razer's feature. And Nick, on a side note, you had mentioned that a company had put out a poll on their Twitter and immediately updated all the peripherals, everything in their inventory to include snap tapping, and that company was Wooting, and I was still impressed how they're able to turn that around in 24 hours. But here they are. Valve is not happy with either Razer or Wooting for Counter-Strike. What are your thoughts here, Nick?
That's what I was saying last week when we were talking about it, right? Like, this feature has already been a feature in Counter-Strike before through coding, just in general, and making a script. So, like, you've already had the script, had the ability to turn on. It was already a bannable offense, is what I was talking about. So, I'm not sure how they're going to check, but, Steam itself, Valve and Steam do have the ability to check your hardware if you do allow them to check your hardware. So I don't know how that's going to work if you're just going to get, unable to go into matchmaking and stuff like that. But
Right. It's going to be interesting because we might be seeing a new arms race literally develop right here, right now. Like, they're going to be able to detect the peripherals. I know that Blizzard just announced that they banned 500,000 people in the last 6 months. And part of that was addressing zimming on Xbox, which they can detect the peripherals being attached and used. When it's out of context, when it's inappropriate, they're able to ban the zimming peripheral. So Valve might be doing the same here. Steam here might be reading the specific. What's up, my dude? What are we giggling about?
It's just hilarious. Like, don't plug in a keyboard, you might get banned, everybody. Like, that's all. That's the funny thing. Like, the boiled down sentence of it is like, you can't use a keyboard.
Right. And I think there's it's not, I mean, it's funny. That is the funny statement with this. Don't use a keyboard. You're not allowed. And I think to a degree, that blanket statement makes sense. But then I know there's exceptions. There's nuance to it where, like, especially with Blizzard and Xbox, they're basically just when they detect it, they're just putting you into the PC pool of players. PC pool of players. That was a nice alliteration. Whereas, like, some other people are getting banned for XYZ. So I wonder if Valve and Steam are going to detect the peripheral, go, okay, this is a Razer Huntsman, you're just banned. You're not allowed to play. Or this is a Wooting keyboard, you're just banned. Or if they're going to understand the nuance of, like, okay, look at the movements, look at the inputs, how fast the inputs are. Because it does make sense to ban this for Counter-Strike. We were talking and, like, looking at more footage over the past week. You really do see how, especially with Counter-Strike 2, the movement, you're able to align and get a crisper, cleaner accuracy with snap tapping than you would otherwise because of how quick the reticle then snaps into, like, perfect accuracy versus, like, the wide accuracy when you're moving. Like, it is a big difference, and they seem to feel like it makes a huge impact on the integrity. So it makes sense that they would want to. Yeah.
It definitely does. It's definitely an extremely noticeable difference. Like, if you watch side-by-side comparison of people doing the exact same shots, it's 100% noticeable. So it makes sense that they want to, like, get rid of it. But I just think it'll be like your game closes down because it detected a Wooting keyboard or a Razer keyboard or the script itself. Like, I think that's where it will go. I think the people who even try to do the script might just get, like, the thing just might close out. Mm-hmm. I don't think it'll be like an actual, like, ban. It's like these keyboards are banned, and if you have one, because they're not going to say, like, they're not going to ban you for having a peripheral. They're just going to say unplug that peripheral that we detect in your computer, like, because it's, it's usable in other areas. It's not an illegal computer peripheral. Like it's 1982 or something ridiculous, right?
Yeah, 1984. You're right. And
yeah, there we go.
It's especially egregious after some of these people are paying $200 for the Huntsman Razor, which we were complaining about how they're paywalling that feature behind a bill like that, you know, a price tag like that. So like, it's kind of wild overall. Like, and it almost feels apropos. Use a big fancy French word there. It almost feels appropriate, apropos, that, you know, that $200 keyboard is just going for this very tactical, precise game.
I mean, if I was either one of these companies, I would just come out and just probably just say something spicy on Twitter or something like that. Like, fine, you don't want our keyboards? Our keyboards don't want you. You're not allowed to use Wooting keyboards anymore in Counter-Strike 2. Just to let you guys know. Like, the keyboard will turn off if you turn on the program.
Well, yeah, that's real funny too, especially Wooting. But I wouldn't doubt like a company like Wooting with how quick their customer support department was, their PR department, and then their development turnaround on the software. Maybe it's something as easy as just like flipping a switch, like a 1 and a 0, changing a number. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if Wooting then turned around and said, okay, we'll just have it automatically turn off when the keyboard detects it's running CS2. So you can still play the game and not worry about getting banned. And then like it'll turn on when you play a different shooter.
Maybe, man. That made, like, I'm not even gonna lie, that made me feel uncomfortable. Like that made me feel so uncomfortable. Like, hey, your keyboard, we detected you're playing a new game, and we disabled some feature like that. Like, no,
I think
that makes me feel so
I
uncomfortable.
think tech works that way, man. I think we're in Big Brother's future here, but you know, we'll see what happens with this story. It's a good update. Definitely interesting to see how it develops, because developers are going to have to adjust and accommodate stuff like this. Like we were talking about Street Fighter 6 accommodating for the hitbox controller, the fight stick that has been upgraded, but it gives a little bit of a competitive advantage. More than a lot of a competitive advantage, but Street Fighter has nullified that, so it becomes just about preference of controls. But anyway, if you have,
hold on, one thing,
yes.
one thing, because I think this will be interesting, right?
Sure.
It's something that I just thought of, and I'm sure it can segue into our next topic based on this. But
hey, Billy here. Wanted to take a quick minute to let you know a few different things. If you enjoyed the video so far, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps us out, and it tells the algorithm to share it with more people. You can find the Esports Meta live every week on Twitch and YouTube. It's where we film the podcast or hang out, play games, and chat. If social media is more your vibe, check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, or Twitter if you use Threads. Does anybody use Threads? This is a video game community that's excited to talk about esports, so jump into the conversation. Of course, you can find more videos like this here on YouTube. Just hit that subscribe button right there or there. Thanks for watching, and let's get back to the show.
It's going to be interesting what they decide for, you know, their new game that no one knows about, that everybody knows about, called Deadlock. If Deadlock is going to allow Snappy Tappy, right? Which is a Valve game. You don't know. They haven't said anything. We don't even know if Valve makes this game. Who knows?
But it
just has all of like the Valve assets.
Right.
I don't know.
But we do know that Valve is aware of snap tapping. They do not like it for their precision tactical shooter Counter-Strike 2 and have banned Razer and Wooting's version of snap tapping.